everybody. It is Monday, February 3rd, 2025 at 7:08 p.m. And I'll call to order the Freetown Board of Select meeting. This meeting will be recorded and will be available on our YouTube page. Tonight we were intended to go into executive session, but we're going to skip that and just jump right into the agenda. So moving to agenda item 3. This is discussion and vote whether approve and sign the open session minutes from December 16th, 2024 and January 6th, 2025. I'll entertain a motion to approve those open session minutes.
Motion made.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda item 2, discussion and vote on awarding the quote for fire station number 1, door and window replacements. And it looks like the low bid here is with Full Scope. Am I right? Am I doing this right?
So the lowest responsive bid will be Full Scope.
Nope. Yeah, I'm wrong. Is it? I thought it was Kate. What's this one?
They were non-responsive because they
Non-responsive. Okay,
forgot
sorry.
the addendum.
Okay. And that bid came in at $30,450. Any questions on this?
No.
No, pretty straight.
Take the lowest bid.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to award the door and window replacements for fire station number 1 to Full Scope Contracting.
A motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then this is just to have, next agenda item 5 is just to have Deb take care of the paperwork, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Sign the contract.
Sorry, let me just mute my computer. My bad. All right, so with that, I'll entertain a motion to authorize town administrator to sign the agreement between the town of Freetown and Full Scope Contracting for the fire station number 1 door and window replacements.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Agenda item 6 is discussion and vote whether to open, add, delete, finalize, and close the special town meeting warrant for 2/24/2025 and have constable post warrant. Do we have any changes that we need to talk about since the last time we discussed these warrant articles?
You have that memo there where we are adding a second invoice to be paid for a prior year.
Oh, yeah.
So that's on the very first article, I believe. So now it's for 2 articles. And then the Council on Aging article, I think they want to push this to the annual town meeting. So that is being removed. So the warrant that you have in front of you is pretty much the final warrant, but that's what's been changed since the petition that was on there was certified today, so that's ready to go forward.
Okay, and just the invoice we're talking about is $380 invoice to Comcast?
Yeah,
$348.
$348.94.
All right.
You have to make a motion to open it, add and delete
Okay.
those articles, then finalize it and close.
Yep. All right, so with that, what's the article that we're removing? This is the last article, right?
Do you know what article? There was no article numbers because we didn't do it. It was the Council on Aging's article. We don't do article numbers until the end.
Yeah. So the COA article, it's kind of referred to as that in the motion.
Yeah.
All right, so with that, I'll entertain a motion to, do I have to open it first? Sorry.
Yes.
So I'll entertain a motion to open the special town meeting warrant.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then I'll make a motion to amend Article 1 to include the Comcast bill and to remove the COA article.
Motion made.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then now, just to finalize it?
Finalize it and
Close
close
it?
it
Actually, one motion there, right?
and post it. Yep.
So I'll entertain a motion to finalize and close and have the constable post the special town meeting warrant for 2/24/2025.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Sorry for that. complexity there. Agenda item 7, discussion and vote whether to accept the MBLA grant for planning and design phase for the new library. Okay. Any new information that we know since the last time?
No, I mean, this is sort of in tandem with the next agenda items with the MBTA, where they were asking for an action plan to be filed by February 13th. And as part of the action plan, they want to make sure that the selectmen and the town administrator are going to actively try to get this zoning and bring it in front of the town, the MBTA zoning. I did review the zoning. It is exactly the same as last time. So it is an additional 750 units for the town of Freetown. I had thought that they had changed it. But of course, it's not an easy read, so upon rereading it, there is still that minimum number. So I think the concern is, because they go in tandem, if we don't get the MBTA zoning passed, we know in fact that they will not. They're gonna pull the grant for the library, and we will be responsible for paying back that portion of the grant that we use for planning and design. And that's just one piece of it. The second piece is then we will have a library designed at 14,000 square foot in size, which I believe will be really a large library for what all our needs in the town, in terms of not getting this grant and having to fund it out of town funding. And I'm fearful that it wouldn't pass through town meeting to fund that 14,000 square foot library. I think I'm also concerned, and I've said this in the past, so for perspective purposes, this building is a 12,000 square foot building. 14,000 square foot would be bigger than this building. And we know that one of the things that we're always surprised by is the cost to maintain this brand new building is quite exceptional. So my concern is, even with the grant moving forward, to maintain a 14,000 square foot library would be a lot. So there's a lot of factors. This is not a win-win. This is not an easy decision. There's a lot of pieces of this puzzle. I will tell you that, the concern is the MBTA zoning, and if it's exactly the same, and we do the action plan to keep us in compliance through June, we will have to bring this to June town meeting. I'm not sure, given the appetite, the last time it was brought forth and there's no changes to it, whether it would pass or not.
The answer is no. I'll be
I'm
back.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it was very clear cut from open to close, and how many people were there that we had overflow rooms that weren't okay with it. And you might get a couple of people who will flip because they want a new library, which we also desperately need. No one will argue that. But what's that going to be? A handful of people? It's not going to pass in the town. I don't know. So my fear is that we then move forward with all their great work that they've done to get us to this point, to have it turned back against us and then say, okay, well, you guys owe us back $50,000, whatever that amount of money is, which will add up quick when you start talking about the design of it all.
Yeah, I was hopeful that the new changes, from what I was reading, was 400 to 450 new units versus 750. So in my head, I was thinking the happy medium was like, all right, we're at 350. What's the stretch of us getting it to 450? So it turns out that wasn't the case. So that doesn't take the wind out of my sails here.
They actually printed a chart at the end of the regulations that stated what we needed for the units, and it was 750 in there because they're requiring us to have 50 acres at 15 units per acre density. So they're not allowing us to use 15% of our existing units, which would have put us more in that 480 range.
She says, yeah.
So what's the plan outside of the library? So if we get this on the June warrant and we have to vote, Amy Cipher, chair of the library trustees. What's the plan for the town? 1 year, 2 years out? What is the hope?
In general, you're saying?
No, for the MBTA zoning compliance. So say this isn't even an issue. You guys have to do this anyway. You have to go make
I
your
could-
plan,
Yeah, I can tell you.
get it on the warrant.
So we're in a very difficult position, right? I don't think there's any easy answer here. I think there's no way we're gonna be able to convince voters of the town to accept this. Therefore, we're gonna lose all of our grants.
So they say no, which is what we all anticipate. I think in this room, everybody anticipates they say no. We start losing our grants. Are we in a legal fight? Do we now spend the next 5 years having a legal fight with our own state government?
I mean, unfortunately, the cost to do that, especially when we're gonna start have to take away from other things because we're losing these grants.
Yeah. So, I mean, my worry is you guys talk about us losing the work we're doing. We're going to lose it anyway. We've already lost it if you say no tonight. So we do a little bit more work because we're going to come to a head here with the state, whether that's next year, 3 or 4 years from now. And you're right, Deb, we're not going to build a 14,000 square foot library, but that wasn't the goal anyway. It was a shared structure. So I feel like we keep going back to that. The goal was a shared structure that this would help fund. So those budgets would have to then pay the maintenance. They'd have to work on 2 separate components coming together. But I don't want it to sound like you're doing us all a favor if you quit today, because we've already done the work to get the money. If the town doesn't go for it in the future, that's a different thing. But to throw it away tonight without even giving the town a chance seems a little bit premature.
What do you mean throwing it away? I guess I'm not tracking that.
If we decline it this week,
Okay.
it's gone.
When's
It
the
goes.
deadline for us to?
We need to give them an action plan of what we're doing with it by
So, yeah, they really want an answer by the 7th, because the money that they have from the state could go back to state if they don't disperse it,
And then
and that was for the first 100,000.
90,000.
One thing I was a little
10 that we hold.
confused about last time. So we get the money, and then how long till we have to spend the money on actually?
The design.
The
That's gonna
design.
be my question.
We have until what they anticipate is February to have some
December,
sort of plan.
December and January is when they're gonna review our design.
Yeah.
So we have to have a design to them by December, January.
Which is
Which is after June.
Yeah.
Well, after if say we do bring this up, you never know. Like you're right. Like there could be a change in. I mean, there's not, but I guess.
But if we don't give it our full fight, it feels like we're just giving it away.
Yeah.
I guess I'm okay with it, right? In theory, it sounds great that we say, okay, we're gonna move forward with it tonight, and then we're gonna bring it to the town's vote. The town is going to shut us down. As long as we haven't spent the money, $1, up before that point, I guess I'm okay with it. Because then we don't have to pay something back out of a town budget, where to your point was we don't know what they're gonna do to us down the road. So we already have to be a little bit more responsible with our money, and we don't wanna have to, and don't take this out of terms, throw away money.
Yeah.
Right, what do I mean by that, is that start design on a building that we'll never use. So, I think,
Yeah,
We
we're
already
still
have
gonna
money
to fund-
allotted.
Right,
The-
we're
the
still gonna
voters
have
have
to
already said.
fund $150,000 of this project.
Once we start
That's what you
spending.
have at lot, what you have at risk.
Once we start spending the money, though, right?
Well, once you have to hire an OPM, you have to hire an architect, those things cost money, you're gonna, you've gotta do some work, there's no way to do all of that work between June and December. I mean, look how long it took us to do the fire station, which is a small, addition compared to what we're working on for, at some point, ultimately, you're going to be at risk for the 150 that we've already allocated, was it 150? We've already allocated. And if we spend the state's 100, another 100 that we have to pay back. So there is money at risk here. I mean, anything can happen. I will tell you from talking to the senator and the representatives, I don't think this is going away. And the courts did rule that the governor had the right to sue the town of Milton. So that's not going to change. There was some caveats that they wanted to have some impact studies done for the towns. I don't know how with the emergency regulations she's going to get around that, because that would take a long time, and I was hopeful that we would have like 5 years to get to this. So I think the answer is when it becomes so painful to the town that we can tell the townspeople they have to pass this zoning because the cost to the town is so great that without it, it's very detrimental. I think that's when we can get the zoning passed. But do I think that the governor's gonna change her mind? No. I don't know how long she's in seat for there, a couple more years after that, maybe it can be changed, but.
And then that's the area that we identified to change the zoning on. Can you remind me what the current zoning is there?
Yes, the current zoning is 8 units per acre. It's over by where the MBTA station is. The density is 8 units per acre. They want 15 units per acre. The problem is, and with some education to people and trying to explain it to them, we don't have the infrastructure to support 15 units per acre anyway. Without sewer, it's very difficult to get that density because you have to put in a sewer treatment plant. You're gonna have to put in something so it can be done. It's not the easiest thing to
It's
do. Just because you
probably
want
most likely not-
15 units per acre, you can't you
Yeah.
need to still meet Title V, and you still need to meet your conservation wetland.
And it's like, it's not economically feasible for any developer to really do that right now. And I tried articulating this last time. Fell on deaf ears.
Yeah, I think that's the challenge is, you're right, it's not going away. And I worry that we are also not a town that has the financial resources to fight this for a decade. And that will eat up all of the resources that we're losing on grants. So for people to understand that, this is a very concrete project for the team to use as
That's
an
it.
opportunity.
That's, I was thinking about that too. Like, this is if June we do go back to the town, like, this is a tangible thing that there's something to be said for that.
It hits our young people, it hits our disadvantaged folks, and it hits our elderly, because this is a joint project. So it hits the exact people that our town works so hard to protect. And whether that, again, falls on the ears of the voters as this is an okay sacrifice we're willing to make, that's their choice, as opposed to us making that choice. I think it's fair to say between now and June, we can use our own funds that are already voted and identified for this project, and we'll know by June, and if we start eating into the rest of the funds, we do. But I think that it doesn't do any justice to the town to give up right now.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly saying we're giving up. We're just kind of looking at all the different possibilities and pros and cons. If we do move forward, there's different options. So obviously we want the state to pay as much as possible for a grant. That's a no-brainer, right? We want that, right? I'm on that building committee, and I want that double building because when I'm 65 and 70, I want a place to go play pool. All right, I'll be selfish for a second. All right, everyone in this town deserves it, but how do we do it in a responsible way? So there are options, right? One, I think we do go with the grant, in my opinion, and then at the same time, at the June meeting, we put aside funds to cover that grant in the event it goes south, right? We vote no MBTA. Let's face it, more than likely, 99.9% sure it's going to be voted no. That's the town's. That's the people's will, and we're going to follow that. Also, you mentioned that financially, could we pay for this ourselves? Now, the building would be scaled down, right? It would be 12,000 square feet, but it also wouldn't be too much smaller either. Could we afford that? I think the answer is yes. I think we could afford that if the grant would to go away. But I do think we continue to fight, right, and keep ourselves in the fight by saying yes to the grant. And that way, what's the worst case scenario? We pay them back with the money we set aside, which is the same money.
I agree with it as long as the work that we do doesn't go to complete waste. What do I mean by that is if we start something, can we use any of that information to go to the next phase? Because, okay, we say we got to do 12,000 square feet right now. Maybe it goes down to 8,000 square feet, and that's more of a feasible size based on the amount of people and the money we have in town.
That is an option.
Because
So-
listen, I'm up here sounding very negative, and I'm not trying to be. I'm just trying to be real because I know we were all there, right, at that last meeting, and we know what happened. So I don't want to do something to jeopardize town funds, your funds. You know, you guys, I don't even want to begin to know how much work you put into trying to get to where you are today. So
I have a couple things, but can we hold on this and go to the next agenda item and vote on whether you want to move forward with that action plan, which states that the selectmen are committed to pushing forward that zoning? Because if you're not gonna vote yes on that,
Then this is,
Then
you
this-
can't vote on this.
then I think I think that does play into it,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
I mean, that's kind of why I said you almost have to take these two agenda items in tandem. And then I will say, as far as spending the money, one of the things and going through the process with the fire station is we have to hire an OPM and an architect, and that's a process, right? You've got to put out your bids, you have to interview them, you have to score them. I think the benefit will be that we'll have that team in place regardless of what the building gets constructed. So yes, Jared, to some extent, some of that will be reutilized, but I think the size of the building will be greatly different,
Absolutely, yeah.
whether we have the grant or not, because I don't see funding a 14,000 square foot library. And even though it's a joint building, the library portion of it needs to be 14,000 square feet or close there too.
2,000 of it is a community shared space, so it's not
Right.
that's not just for the library.
So 12,000 square foot library, like I said, that's the size of this police station, so you need to keep that in perspective. That's a large building just for the library, so, so then the total building square footage would be, 20,000 square feet in total, so, but the good part is, there's a lot of time, because my concern is also that if we can continue down on this path, we're not pursuing the other path where we are pursuing a joint building. We're sort of putting that on hold to see if this is gonna move forward. But by hiring the OPM and the architect, I guess we've saved some time. That will be in place. We would probably use that same team regardless of the size of the building we're gonna build and how we're gonna fund it. So there is some benefits to that, because it takes time.
And I think we're able to set that expectation that this might be something a little more fluid than we're expecting with the team, and how comfortable when we're interviewing what that looks like and what would be usable spaces that you scale down versus things that might be too rigid for the grant. I think too that it's a heavy sales pitch for the town who's facing all of these school issues and who's facing renovations across the town to say, hey, yeah, they're gonna say yes to a library. And I worry about our staffing. Nicole is fantastic, but is she gonna stay hoping that she can have a restroom at her workplace for the next 10 years? So we talk about losses. Staffing is a loss. It costs 3 months of someone's salary to get somebody new in, train them, get them going. So we really have to think big picture, scope out of several years, that it's not just this one project. It's
But-
an expectation of a safe and healthy workplace for our staff.
Yeah, but like, I think it's like almost the perfect project to, if we're ever gonna get it passed, because it's, education related, library and senior citizens. They show up, senior citizens show up. So like,
I don't think it's the building itself, it's the size of the building, right? I think that we absolutely need a new library. I've said this all along. It's absurd that in 2025, we have a building that doesn't have plumbing and a bathroom. It's just absurd. So, absolutely, I think it's just how big you build the building.
Yeah, but I think there's something to be said hypothetically. If zoning law changes, the train is coming to town, things are like, regardless if people like it or not, we're gonna have more folks moving to town. That's gonna happen, right? Maybe we do need a bigger building, to
And wouldn't it be nice to do that on the state's dime instead of our own, if we have an option to?
This one is tough. So I think before we do anything, before we do
Yes.
this, we have
Answer
to,
is yes.
Always yes.
this
Yes.
conversation doesn't mean anything unless we approve agenda item 9.
So,
Right.
yeah, 9, and then the wording is actually, 9 and 10 are sort of redundant, but the wording that I need the selectmen to vote is in 10, which basically, this is specific what they want you to agree to.
So, I stand where I guess, let's move on to item 9 and come back to this. Like, where I stand on this, which might not be a popular opinion, I think in this room right now, I think it's probably not an unpopular opinion, but for a lot of folks in town, like, I do think that it's in the best benefit of the town to try to create a zoning district that is in compliance. Although it's definitely is gonna have some, impacts to the town. I think that we're just trying to, shovel against the tide right now, and slow down change is going to happen anyways, and it's going to cost us a lot of money to do that. So I guess that's just my personal opinion on whether we should or should not go forward with the zoning district that will meet the requirements of MBTA communities. And so, yeah, that's my opinion on it. If you guys have any thoughts.
So I'm gonna be a little bit opposite, and you know, I lived in town my whole life, right, and value what the town's done and where we are. There's a lot of individuals that planning and, you know, put things in place and thought ahead, right? We heard a lot of it the night of the meeting, and it's things I've talked about all along, that they were told to comply with something, they complied, they made the zone, and now they're saying the zone isn't good enough. So then what's the next step that's after that? I'm fearful that what we do today will be good enough for today, but then they're gonna come back to us for something more. And I like cities, but I live in the country. I don't wanna become a city. So I wanna keep it that way. And so I have a hard time, especially when you see the will of the people that voted us in here, that we're all up here from, we're so strong against doing it, going against them. For me to sit up here, because this was something that everyone in that meeting was fearful of, was you guys are gonna go behind our backs and try and do something to put stuff in place when we don't have it, when we're not there. I can't go against that. They're the people who voted me, regardless of you. Sometimes you have to vote based on the way that the people tell you to, right? Like you're up here representing people.
Yeah,
so.
I don't disagree, but I also think that it's important to make difficult decisions that maybe aren't popular,
Yeah.
because it's the right thing to do, and if the voters don't like that, then they won't vote me back in.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of where I stand on it.
Yeah, and this vote can just says that you're going to put it at the town meeting. You're gonna put it in
Yeah,
front of the people. again.
listen, I am completely okay with, so I guess I was a little misunderstanding.
Okay.
I am completely okay with putting it back in front of the people and letting the
Yeah, that's what
people
this is.
decide.
This is not like we can't do any zoning. without
Okay,
the
all right,
town
because the
meeting.
way it was,
Yeah.
I was like, is it telling me I need to agree? So in that case, I am
Okay, yeah, no, I can
100%
understand how
on
you
board of
thought.
putting it
Yeah,
back in front of the
the
We don't have the
Yes,
ability to
true.
change
Yeah.
the zoning law, I don't think,
Yes,
ourselves.
because, like I said, I know how I felt, and anyone who didn't now does. I'm not hiding anything about it, but, you know,
Yeah.
I've never,
I just
never
think, like,
have, but.
Like, I think last time when we went there, and let me be clear, I unfortunately personally don't think it's gonna pass, but last time we went up there, we were talking about kind of, it wasn't anything tangible that we could talk about to say like, this is what we're gonna lose. It was just kind of hypotheticals. Now we have something tangible.
Yeah.
I think that's a, you know,
And a lot more tangible, right? Like they took, I told you they took the DEP grant, they took the fire safety grant. They were gonna take them all. And I think I have not had the chance, I can quantify that. It's going to be bigger than you realize because we get a lot of these little grants, 15,000, 7,000, 20,000, they add up. I know that I publicize a lot of the bigger grants but this is those little ones really keep our departments moving. They're just used to getting them every year. So I think it will become extremely painful to the point where, that's why I said, we will quantify it to the people and say, look, your services are gonna be interrupted if we can't get this, so.
yeah. And our budget's
We're not
gonna-
there yet, but
yeah.
that's where it will head, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, it definitely is not an easy decision because everybody here has made some valid points, right? As we move forward. But ultimately, I look at it like this. Our job as selectmen, as we're voted in, is to provide the information to every citizen, every resident in town. Whether you love to hear it or not, here's the truth, the full truth, not just the version of the truth you want to hear. So that's where I stand, right? We have to provide all the information. And you're right. Last time we were kind of against the MBTA for potentially losing ABC grants or these funding opportunities. Well, now we have a tangible concern. It's like, hey, we could be losing millions of dollars here for a joint building, library and council of aging. I know we keep saying library, but it's a joint building. That's what we signed up for, right? So I do want that. I do want those funds. I truly do. But at the same time, our job is to notify the folks in Freetown, hey, here's the pros and cons. Here's the carrot, right? And the state has us pretty stuck, right? They really do. The residents spoke loud and clear. It's a solid no. But our job is to put it back out there and let them know, hey, you said no last time. Here's what the no gives you this time around.
Yep.
Right? But do we say no to the grant in the meantime, right? And I don't think that's where.
I have a hard time saying no. The more we talk about it, how do
Correct.
you, right? Because if something changes, if the state
The state could
if the
change.
state comes back and says something or something happens, and then we gave it up,
You can't get it back.
Can't get it back.
can't get it back. And you're gonna have some
can't get it
pretty
back.
upset individuals who put a lot of hard work into a much needed building.
Just-
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing is we all agree with you. It's just trying to be smart about it, and it's like this is just one of those double-edged sword type decisions. So
Yeah, like what I've been struggling with internally is like whether, like I don't want to. These things take a long, just naturally take a long it's a long and laborious process to get these things moving. Like, and I'm trying to think like, is saying no to the grant and just forgetting about that and going down a different road, is that more efficient, right? Or is it, but when we lose all the upside, right, and all the hard work's been into it, which is one thing that's important, but like I do think I like the idea of using this as a great a great example, and also like so many things. Like think about what's going on with just the government in general right now, especially the federal level. Things are changing every day. We have like this could be found, to be totally illegal tomorrow. Like I wouldn't be surprised.
And
So-
if the town says no, that feels different than us trying a different path. If they go in and it's a hard no in spite of this,
Yeah.
we'll know we literally did everything as
Exactly.
as
Well,
boards to
and I
do
think,
it,
like,
get
think
that
about, like,
message.
You've done a really good job, obviously, articulating and explaining your point here. Like, that's the kind of voice I think that will be needed at town meeting in order to convey like what's going on here. I think that's somewhere I failed last time was articulating well, like what this really means, right? And
well, we don't know. So it's,
Yeah.
it's
well,
not
I guess
ridiculous.
the other, but I guess where I think I messed up was that the really drilling on the point that like we have an area of town that's already zoned for higher density,
Mhm.
and no one's developed it.
Mhm.
And all we're doing with that same exact lot of land is putting a little more higher density that most likely no one will develop.
Mhm.
Like I think the most likely outcome of us passing this is not one more house is built.
Mhm.
It's just because we're not saying that the house you have to build these houses. We're saying that if someone wants to come and spend a ridiculous amount of money, they can build these houses.
Mhm.
Right? And those are two very different things.
Right.
And the way I think it's been explained to, or the way people are interpreting it is that they vote yes, and there's high rises going up the next day.
Mhm.
And that's just totally not the way this is going to work, right? I mean,
It's a developer, right? So this is something that I've spoke about all along in several different forums is it has to be a developer, to your point, right? And it's not gonna be it's not gonna be the town or the state or anyone else that's gonna come in and build this. It's going to be a developer, and a developer can do what they want with that land, and it's not a moving
exactly.
piece. So it's not if I go in there and buy it 50 acres, it's this 50-acre parcel and decide I want to put I don't know, cow farm there. Like at the end of the day, it's not like, okay, that, Jared bought it and did this, so they can move it and put it somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
But that being said, that's what's on paper today. Who knows what changes tomorrow?
Yeah.
So
And I will say, like,
it's tough.
like where I stand, like, I think that I think it's unfair the way the state did this, 100%. I think that don't pretend like we have a choice when we don't.
Right.
Right? I just totally disagree with that. I think it's disingenuous, and I think it puts us in very difficult positions. Just if you're gonna make us do it, just make us do it, right? So I will say that, but at the end of the day, if I look at the pros and cons, I think for me personally, I think it makes sense, just because of the unique situation we're in, where we already have higher density zoning for this specific area,
Mhm.
right? I think if we didn't have that, and we had to take like a parcel of land that,
Middle of town over here.
Yeah.
Where we all live, it is crazy down there.
yeah,
We live in the busy part of
Exactly.
town. We already have the trucks. We already have all that. We're used to all of
Yeah.
that. This part of town is not.
exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah, no,
I mean, all of us. We're
Yeah.
all in the same neighborhood.
exactly. Which is a weird coincidence. That
Yeah, it really is.
Hey, listen, I'm outside of that neighborhood.
It is on the other side of the world over there, so.
And there's very few of we're the sonnet size, so.
Okay, so I think that was, I'm gonna call a vote for agenda item 9. So I'll entertain a motion that we create a zoning district that will meet the requirements of the MBTA communities.
Motion made?
Yeah, I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so should I just take care of 10
And
then?
yeah, because that would be,
Okay, so, okay, so with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the 2025 action plan stating that the board will take the necessary actions to bring any zoning intended to comply with requirements of general law, chapter 30, chapter 40A, section A, 3A to 760 CMR 72 to a vote of the town of Freetown prior to July 14th, 2025.
Motion made?
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
okay.
And then, so now we'll go back to agenda item 8, right?
Nope, 7.
7. Sorry, I've slept like 3 hours in the last like 5 days, so my brain's not really working great. So with that, so I'll entertain a motion to accept the NBL grant for the planning and design phase of the new library.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations.
On to the
Okay.
next step.
One step at a time, for all of us.
Well, I think you guys did a really good job of making your point there, and so I commend you that. You know, I think you changed my opinion on it. So,
Yeah, something else to think about too as we bring this to the town, knowing probably how they're gonna vote. Maybe we do another warrant article to kind of commit to actually the funds to a building. Maybe that discussion's on the next warrant as well.
Yeah, I think we'll have that conversation so that the money is there if the grant gets pulled.
but yeah, and it's a pretty it's a binary decision, right? You can say like, if we put it on that, like it's either you vote to fund this, or you vote for this to get it for free.
Well, I mean, I think I would
Force it up.
vote the $100,000 that we're gonna
Yeah.
need to do that, but we'll have that figure by then, because I think it's gonna be more because we have another building.
Because to your point, everyone's point up here is obviously the building's needed, right? So what my fear is that we're gonna take this to town, it's gonna get denied, and then your hard work's gone, and then everyone forgets about it, right? And then we're not moving forward with the next step. And we've all sat up here and we have discussions about trying to move forward, but we do need to do something sooner than later and get something else in front of the town as to what it would look like. Like, okay, if this doesn't pass, this is what our next step will be. We're working on things, kind of behind the scenes, but
Yeah, we'll be there with you.
Yeah, and I think that's a good idea. To let the town know here's the plan. Here's all the committees that have been talking about this. They've already approved a portion of the money to go after the grant, right? So there's an appetite there, and we just again different way to skin a cat in a sense. Not that we skin cats because we love cats. It's just an expression. That's just yeah. In today's world, sorry cats. Right? Yeah, get your licenses, please. Yeah. No, I think we put that in there to let the town know we're committed to a Council of Aging Library building because it is needed, and I do believe you deserve a bathroom. Everybody does. It's a no-brainer.
that's overrated.
So, yeah.
Thank you all.
Okay, awesome. So, agenda item, I missed 8. I did miss 8.
Yes.
Okay, we have some items that are surplus. I can't read today. It's tough.
Agenda.
What page are we going to?
Radios and stuff,
What's that?
radios and.
They were on attachment A for the
Oh.
agenda.
Oh, no, let me see that.
28.
All right, we got it right here. Okay, so we have some items to potentially be put to surplus. Hold on, what am I looking at here? I don't know any. Okay, Land Pride broadcast spreader. Don't know what that is. Seed Easy drop spreader. Little Ford drag box. Utility trailer. sidearm mower for parts, pressure washer, and 2 hand rollers. Total value, like 2,600 bucks or something, 27. Any questions on putting these on muni bid?
I think there are a
None.
couple that we're gonna go to the transfer.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
say, with the
sorry.
exception of the 2 hand rollers that they say just, there's
2
no
hand rollers,
value
okay.
to the transfer station, so.
All right, so with that, I will entertain a motion to,
Oh, wait, do we need to set a minimum bid
no,
for each thing?
I don't think so.
All right, good, no, because just
Just a
because it's the
value on there.
estimated value,
Yeah.
but I don't know that we even want to go after that much for some of this stuff, like that sidearm mower, it says it's for parts. So it has an estimated value of $1,500. The reason why I bring it up is I don't want them to go through the work of putting it on,
muni bid.
and we don't get it. And then we have to bring it back in front of us to lower it to, so can we just do something with the value to make it lower so we can just
What-
hopefully get it on there and be done with it?
Yeah,
Let the people decide how much they want to pay for this stuff.
we can put, $10 values and let them bid it up. They do bid stuff
They do
up.
bid in it.
Yeah, so why don't we do, I mean, because none of this stuff
No,
is
I mean,
really,
they're all like $50 stuff.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So this stuff, so I just don't want to, I'm trying to,
So we'll
trying
put,
to take away
put
work.
a $10, I think we put a $10
Mhm.
minimum. Okay. All right, great. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to declare all items, or sorry, all these items surplus, and to have all the items except for the 2 hand rollers put on muni bid with a minimum bid of $10, and to send the 2 hand rollers to the transfer station.
Motion made?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and then now, agenda item 11, discussion vote on request from town clerk to revise available positions for the annual town election scheduled for April 7th, 2025. Carl?
Hi, good evening. Thanks for having me back. So I was previously here back on December 2nd in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 53, where the Board of Selectmen would call for the annual town election that's scheduled for April 7th. In the meantime, I received a resignation from a member of the Finance Committee. He will not be completing the next 2 years of his term. So in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 53, I'm right under the gun in order to get that position additionally listed, so that folks have enough time to pull papers by the 12th and return by the 14th. So I'm just looking to amend the original public notice and add, in addition to the 3 Finance Committee member, 3-year term posting, to an additional 1 2-year unexpired term.
Perfect. Any questions or concerns?
No.
No. I saw the letter come in today and lost another one. Well, as far as the time, it's really a timing thing. It takes a lot of time to be on these boards and committees, and we do appreciate everything that our boards and committees do, but time gets away from us. So,
All right, so with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the request from the town clerk to revise the available positions for the annual town election scheduled on April 7th, 2025.
Motion made?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Cheryl.
All right, I think that's all. Do we have anything to sign? Any public input?
There was the resident about the birds that was coming, but he didn't come. That's what Lisa was here for.
The birds, the seagulls?
Yes.
I heard a little bit about this.
Yes,
I don't know if you want any information or.
So we got to have Lisa smiling face here. Just because.
I wasn't aware of seagulls. We have a seagull issue, or is that what it is?
Apparently, a resident was complaining that one of the cow farms has an overabundance of seagulls near his property.
What do you do about that? That seems like a,
Not really sure, to be honest.
okay, well,
He's come to our window a few times and said, we were told he was coming this evening, that's why I had asked.
We
Told me
made-
he was coming, so I don't know what happened.
and we are not technically, are we a right to farm?
Or not?
No.
Not, right? No. am I using that terminology right? I think it is, right?
Yeah, right to farm, we're not at right to farm.
Which is surprising.
When you start signing?
All right, we'll start
Yeah.
signing and then we'll adjourn. Okay, well,
You know, my family in Portugal, they have some vineyards and they use the propane machine.
So apparently
That's-
that's part of the issue. Somebody on the other side of the property is using those and making all the seagulls go to the other side of the property.
Got it.
Interesting.
that sounds, I'm sure it's not fun having.
Yeah, it sounds just like a. Oh,
But
I'm going there every summer. It sounds like a shotgun going off every 2 minutes.
And
So-
that's not the complaint.
The complaint is the feces going. I get it. And they do say the seagulls are the rats with wings, right? They pretty much eat just about everything.
I had a seagull steal my car keys one time.
Yep, they like shiny things. They definitely do. But I, as you
Only you
know,
do.
have been back for a week and a half and I'm dealing with the bird flu at the moment, so.
A lot of bird problems. going on.
A lot of bird problems going on.
It's too bad we can't train the geese to go after the seagulls.
Well, it's hitting all the waterfowl, so it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, that's scary stuff, huh?
Yeah, I did hear there's some reports in neighboring communities that have already, I think, tested positive or they suspect some bird flu.
Oh, it's here.
Yeah,
It's definitely
so-
here. I have to go pick up a hawk tomorrow, so, and I've gotten 2 geese already, so it's, they haven't been tested, but it's here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just listening to a story about that and they call the whole entire like flock, right? Sometimes it's like thousands and thousands of birds. It's one that's
It's been coming across the country for 3 years now.
yeah.
It just now it's hit Massachusetts.
Other than eradicating every Canadian goose that comes to our town, any suggestions as far as what to do? I know some places use like dogs to kind of scare away the geese, but that's not really a long-term solution. So,
Really, they fly.
Yeah, not much you can
There's
do.
no way to
I'm
stop
sorry,
them.
flipping them over on you.
No.
I don't know why.
can we possibly amend hunting laws and open up the hunting season for geese for a longer period of time?
There is a season, a hunting season, although my husband is a hunter and he said, I wouldn't go for a bird right now.
No.
Neither would I.
Nope.
Lottery has to go.
The state is saying not even to touch them, to wear PPE and,
Oh, really?
So it's that bad.
yeah. Cats are the most susceptible, but they're not 100% sure it can't jump to people, so.
That's
Oh no, not this again.
yeah. All right. I think that's all. So
Right.
so with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.